Alright, making goat cheese. First you need to have some kind of double boiler system. Mine's just a miscellaneous pot inside a miscellaneous pot with water filled fairly high up between the two. Most cheese recipes call for 2 gallons of milk, but I'm able to do it just with 1 gallon. This is probably 1.5 gallons. You want everything clean, the double boiler. Make sure your milk is fresh. I actually freeze mine until I get enough supply so that it's not been sitting around in the fridge for too long. You need a spoon. I usually just put it in the milk and keep it in the milk so it stays clean. And that's goat milk. That's some of the frozen parts there. And then you need some kind of thermometer. I had a fancy dancy one with an alarm on it, but I have broken 2 of those. So I have now just resorted to using this temperature meat fork that was given to me as a gift. And basically all we're going to do in this step is bring the milk up to 161 degrees to pasteurize it. You don't want to go past that, or you can scorch it. You don't want it to really boil, just start to kind of maybe bubble a little on the edges. The last batch of cheese I made, I actually did scorch it a little bit, but the cheese still came out fabulous. So ideally your goal is to get to 161 degrees. And then we will kind of rapidly cool it. You can see it's a little foamy. I actually overshot my temperature. Quite a bit. So I made it to about 172 degrees, which is too much, but it really won't actually hurt it. So then we want to kind of do a rapid cooling. There's a couple ways. I will just replace this hot water with cold several times, or I'll put ice in my double boiler to try to cool it off quickly down to I think it's about 89 degrees is what I'm trying to cool it to. Once the cheese is about 89, 90 degrees, cooling it off, it's pretty darn close. Then we add the culture. It comes freeze dried. You only need 1/4 teaspoon. This acidifies the milk. You just sprinkle it over the top. And you stir it. Once it's stirred, I usually put a lid on it, keep things out of it, and you set the timer for 1 hour. It's how long it needs for the culture to grow. It can go slightly longer than an hour. Well, it can go a good bit longer than an hour, but at least an hour. And the culture I keep frozen in my freezer. Next is the step that coagulates the milk. So the milk would just still look like normal milk, but it's been acidified with the culture. Now we take distilled water, about 1/4 cup. And there's a couple different kinds of rennet. I'm using a liquid vegetable rennet. And use 1/8 teaspoon of rennet. And just dilute it in the distilled water. And then you add it to the milk. You stir for about a minute. And it's all stirred really well. I'm going to take the spoon out and just cover it, and I'll let it sit overnight. Is evaluating the curd. If you look in the pot, you'll see that it's got some liquid on the top and it's quite solid. Now you cut the curd. Don't really have to be too fancy. I'll make lines. This helps the whey come out of the curd even more. So you cut one way, and you turn it 90 degrees. And cut it the next way, and then I usually go back and do it kind of on an angle like that, so you don't have quite such long pieces. As you can see, that's what the curd looks like. At this point, most of the books say you can gently heat this up, and that helps the process of the whey coming out of the curd. Is I'll take an empty pot with a colander and then kind of a cheese mold and put some butter muslin cloth in it, and this is when we start to strain the cheese. It usually won't all fit in here initially until some of the whey drains off. So we just keep adding this until it's all in here. Sometimes it takes me a couple hours till enough is drained off to have room in the colander to put it all in here. Cheese gets in the colander, you cover it with the little pan and you put weight on it for a couple days until all the whey is pressed out. Done. If you think it's been pressed long enough, you can take it out of the mold.